What's going on, guys? The Barber Phil here, back again with another haircut tutorial. And today's video is going to be a little less of a tutorial and a little bit more of a challenge video. I believe the originator of this challenge is Choppin. I also talked to Jvminlee a little bit and decided to go ahead and take up this challenge. This is the Detachable Blades Only challenge, so make sure you stick around from beginning to end, see how we got from point A to point B. Alright guys, so basically the guidelines for the detachable blade only is pretty much that. You can only use detachable blades for the entirety of the fade. Now you can use shears on top. If there's a beard, you can use a razor to do the lineup, and then of course when you're doing your detail work with the perimeter, lining her up around everything, you can use your liners for that. But other than that, the entirety of the fade is to be done with detachable blades only, so that's what we're going to do. I'm using my old Andis Supra ZR. These are not in my current lineup, and I'll explain why later on. You'll notice that I do switch to a different detachable clipper. But we're going to start things off with a 2-blade. And we're going to come up and off just like we normally do with our typical fading. And I did notice, and there's a little bit of a challenge right here in the middle part of this area that I'm coming through. There's a line that I'll just continue to work at and continue to work at. And with the detachable blades, I never really felt like I got that line buffed out. But we're trying to come through here. I'm just trying to use the corners of my blade here and just kind of lighten up that dark spot that's going through there. We're going to fade down pretty much the whole time. I'm doing a little bit of clipper over comb here just to lighten that weight up. We're using a 3/0 blade to do that clipper over comb, which is kind of it's a little risky. You could honestly do an OA or a 1 blade, but that 0 blade is what I decided to go with. Now what we're doing here, we're just going to continue to work our way down. This is a 1.5 blade, kind of coming up, and I'm going to go all the way to about halfway to 3/4 of the way through that initial 2-blade section. So a lot of these things are going to sound repetitive to our typical way of fading down. I did realize once going back to blades after using your typical guard system and fading down that it did help when it come to using the blades. I definitely feel a little bit more comfortable now, rather than when I used to. I would set my lines in and then take the lines out. Fading down definitely felt more comfortable with these blades. So we went from the 1A, or from the 1.5. This is a 1A. Same thing, guys. We're starting at the base, kind of debulking everything, and we're going up to about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the previous section. Now we are down to a 1 blade. We're doing the same thing. We can go down to an OA here in a minute at the perimeter, and then all the way down to a 3/0 to really finish out that taper. So here's the OA. Like I mentioned, we are folding the ear down, making sure that we get the very base of this fade down to a desired length, so that when we come in with the FXs, we can put a nice sharp line on there. Now in that last clip, and then in this clip here, I am using the 3.5 and the 3 3/4 blades. And if you guys pay close attention to the clipper, you'll notice that there's no hair building up on the clipper, and that is because for some reason these Supras are not wanting to feed the hair through the blade correctly once I get above a 2 blade. So that's what I had to do here, was switch to that 2 blade, and we're just going to come up and off. And the reason being, I think my Supras have been sitting in a storage room of ours at the shop for a while now. I haven't used detachable blades for quite a long time, so I don't know if them just sitting around has been the cause. I did oil them up, I greased them up, I charged them all the way up, but for some reason once you get above that 2 blade, they just did not want to feed correctly. But we're going to do the 2 blade up and off, so this is going to end up being more of like a almost a shadow fade, if you will, with a little bit of weight. We didn't do a hard part, but it is parted, and then of course we'll get to the top in just a little bit. So we're taking this 2 blade up and off, then we'll continue to start fading our way down. So here is the 1.5, and we're flicking that up into that 2 blade that we just did, and then we will continue to work our way down. We'll go to the 1A, and then you go to your 1, your OA, and then your 3/0 at the very bottom. If you have all the blades, it's possible to do a pretty decent fade. Obviously, there are guys out there that they only use blades and their fades come out blurry. And if you perfect your craft and whatever tool that you're using, you can cut with any type of clipper that you possibly can. But I don't believe that anybody should be any more proud of their haircuts if they only use blades, and I don't believe that people who don't use blades should shame those who do. So I'm kind of in the middle there. I do find that there is purposes sometimes for detachable blades. There are certain kids cuts where you can take a 2-guard up and off, taper into it, and be done. You don't have to worry about switching through different types of guards. Just simply do that 1 guard all around, taper into it, and be done with it. So there's definitely benefits to them, and benefits to clippers with a lever that you can adjust. So like I said, we're just going to continue to work our way down through here. You guys can see that it is kind of coming together, and if you'll notice, I did switch over to the Oster Octane. I was just tired of the fact that the Supras just weren't wanting to feed the hair, and I didn't want to continue to use them if they weren't going to work properly. Now when it comes to the taper, I did start with a 5/0 at the very bottom, then we went to the 4/0, 3/0. We just kind of worked our way up through here, very small sections at a time, until we got to, I believe, the OA, and then we went right back into kind of working our way back up to kind of blend this bottom part out. So here I'm going to switch back to the 3/0, and I'm just going to pretty much float it through there. I'm going to try to almost touch as little hair as possible, but I knew that it was necessary to really get that last little bit of a line buffed out. I'll come in here one last time though with the OA, work my way up through here just a tad bit more. We don't want to work all the way back up, but we do want to make sure that we're not leaving any obvious noticeable lines there. Come in with the 3/0 one more time, do a little bit of clipper over comb up in that weight area just to soften it up some, since we weren't able to really get that 3 3/4 and the 3.5 blade to work for us very well. Now I do use it right here because I switched over to the Octane clipper. There's a massive difference in my opinion between the way the Supra ZR1, because I know that there is a Supra ZR2 now. I've never used it, but the Supra ZR1 and then the Oster Octane, they feed totally different. The Octane is very slow in its movement, I guess, if you will, but it feeds really well. The Supra has 5 different speed settings, which I don't really know why you ever would go all the way down to the lowest setting, but if you have it on that highest setting, it definitely seems like it's moving a lot faster than the Octanes do, but both of them at the end of the day will do the job and do it just fine. So that's the only thing that I noticed about the Octanes, is I did find that I needed to kind of be a little more cautious. I didn't want to kind of bust through a certain section there and really be moving that clipper too fast, because I didn't want to take the chance on my hands moving faster than what the blade was wanting to feed the hair, if that makes sense. So that section right up there around the vertical bar right above where I'm at right now, you guys will notice me continuously coming back to that. I just could not get that lightened up. I tried several different blades. I tried the corners of a blade. I tried just taking a full blade through there, one of the longer blades, and I just could not get that down to a lighter shade than what it was. It may not have been possible to do even with a regular clipper, but that was one thing that I did notice and kind of got a tad bit frustrated, is I couldn't go in with a clip with a certain guard and adjust it, open and close, and try to figure out if I could ever take it out. I had to continuously turn around, grab a different blade, and if that blade didn't work, I'd have to grab a different blade. That's the biggest thing is, you know, with a guard, you've got so much variation within one guard versus a blade. You only have one set. We only have one set length. It's that or nothing. Now you can use the corners and stuff like that and get maybe different lengths from that part of it, but for the most part, it's one blade, one length. It's one guard, multiple lengths. So that's the upside to using you know, guards and clippers with a lever compared to using blades. So I wanted to just take a quick second and just thank everybody on the channel. You guys are killing it. We're pretty much at 1,700 subscribers right now. Like I said, I'd love to hit 2K here before too long, and then the ultimate goal for the end of the year is 5K. So, you know, help me out, guys. If you're watching this video, if you've watched any of my videos and you're not subscribed, take a second, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I put out a lot of content. I may not be the best barber or the most flashy barber. My fades may not be the most pristine fades, but I try to bring something different to the channel every time I'm on here. Little tips and tricks that I've found work for me. So, you know, take a second, guys, hit that subscribe button, help me out. Let's get these milestones that we're looking to hit. So now that we've gotten the bulk of the fade done, I'm coming back through here trying to use different blades to lighten this area up here where I kind of feel like there's a little bit of a line that's dropping down towards the back. And that is kind of that's one of the big downsides to the detachable blade system, is the fact that you're constantly having to switch blades. For instance, a one guard with, say, like a cordless senior or a babless clipper, a one guard closed through a one guard open pretty much covers a one blade, a 1A, a 1.5, and maybe even a 2 blade. So you're getting 4 blades covered by one guard with a clipper that has a lever. So I understand those that choose to just use detachable blades only. They do usually cut very clean, especially if your clippers feed the hair really well. I will give you that they do feed pretty well, probably better than most lever clippers. You're probably gonna have to make more passes through an area with a clipper that has a lever versus a blade. But as far as the efficiency goes, sometimes when it comes to fades, I would lean more towards a clipper with a lever. Is going to be more efficient because, like I mentioned, you can cover 4 blades with one guard. So it's totally a preference, personal preference. My personal preference is right now the Stylecraft and the Gamma Ergo, which, by the way, they have just dropped. I don't know if they've really released it yet, but they've dropped their videos of the Gamma Ergo X. So of course you guys know that I'm gonna have to pick that up at some point and try it out. So if Gamma or Stylecraft, if you guys are watching, hit a brother up. I'll be more than happy to test it out for you guys and let y'all know my honest opinion on it. Now with the top, what we're gonna do coming here, he didn't want much length off at all. So I'm actually just taking a combing through here, and I'm using my regular shears, and I'm just pretty much making some point cuts through there. He's got thick hair, so we're trying to give it a little bit of texture, lighten up the heaviness of it, and not really remove a whole lot of length at the same time. So as a finisher to this haircut, we're going to come in, follow the perimeter work that we did with the Fabulous FX trimmers. And we're going to follow it up with this Gamma Uno shaver. This is the single foil shaver that Gamma has out, and this thing is amazing. So make sure you guys check that out. They're pretty inexpensive but very effective at the same time. This is basically going to replace your old school style of, you know, doing hot lather or shave gel and using a razor. You can pretty much bump this right up to any line, and it's gonna really make those lines pop. This is the beginning, guys. As y'all can tell, he was definitely in need of a haircut. His hair grows pretty crazy down in the neck, so we were able to use that 5/0 blade and really get all that taken care of. Guys, I have not used detachable blades in a long time, so y'all be gentle with me in that comment section when you let me know what you thought about it. I thought it turned out better than I had expected, honestly. Alright guys, here is my final result of the Detachable Blade Only challenge brought to everyone by Choppin, and like I mentioned, Jvminlee hit me up to see if I was doing this challenge myself. I took him up on it. Guys, hit me up in the comment section, let me know what you thought about this tutorial. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. Consider subscribing if you're new, guys. I know that I harp on that all the time, but I would absolutely love anyone that watches a single second of any of my videos to be subscribed and turn on that notification bell. That way you never miss another video. Sunday and Wednesday is always the schedule. Guys, I'm the Barber Phil. Y'all know I appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out.